Yes, and here comes Melanie joining. I am recording this because it's entirely virtual, so it's a requirement that I make a video recording. So I have done that.
Okay, well, I'll call the meeting to order. It's 5:30 on September 13th. Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
This is a workshop because we're obviously not meeting the in-person quorum, so we will not be able to vote on anything. We can look at the agenda and just see if we have anyone wants to add anything. Anybody want to add anything to the agenda? No. Okay.
And I can apologize for the situation when the previous person that scheduled our meeting room and kept the list of the meetings retired. There was a situation where our meeting didn't get placed on the calendar. So that's why we didn't have the meeting room this evening, but we will for the remainder of the year and early next year. I've already scheduled.
Okay. That happens when there's transition. So the other thing is minutes. We can't vote on them, but if you see any additions or corrections, let us know right now. So Kathleen can make those corrections for next time.
Also, I did not include Jim Powell as present. He was present virtually. So
Okay.
I made that correction.
All right. Anybody have any other corrections or okay? Looks good then. Doesn't look like we have any citizens on the call or on the meeting.
I just want to say something. I want to recommend that Kathleen sends the minutes again for next month when we can vote on them, so we don't have to hunt for them.
Okay.
Yes.
And approve
That's a
them.
good idea. Good idea. Thank you. I don't see any citizens for comment, so we'll move on. We have no new business. Continuing business then. For the Truth and Reconciliation Community Remembrance Project, this Saturday, it's on your agenda. There's a soil collection ceremony for the Monteoka Gordon Lacrosse subcommittee. So they have collected some soil, and I believe they did it. This group just has one victim, Moses Smith. Real interesting background though, because there was an eyewitness account of his murder, his lynching. And it was given by, in a personal letter from Garth James, who had been an officer with the famous 54th Massachusetts. He was severely injured in the Battle of Battery Wagner, and it just about killed him, but he moved to this area. He borrowed money from his father. I read I forget which book it was. It was about the letters going back and forth between the siblings. I have a couple books on it, but anyways, he talked about the murder of Moses Smith. And so it's not always, especially in that period of time, because it was in the 1860s, we generally don't have much other information other than what Leonard G. Dennis gave in his testimony to it was a fact-finding group from the House and Senate, United States House and Senate, that came to Florida in they were in Jacksonville in November of 1871, and Moses Smith was listed as a victim. But now, we have this firsthand account of the murder there. So On the agenda, it says the Bell United Methodist Church. It's actually called the Greater Bell United Methodist Church. Okay, so it's not in Bell. It's actually located in Brooker, Florida, is the address that's on the flyer. So I plan to be there. It'll be a very, just like all the rest of the soil collection ceremonies, a very moving ceremony.
Well,
Kathleen,
I
do you-
apologize for the inaccurate name. Is the address correct on the agenda?
think
I'll
I think-
I'll try to find the flyer and send it.
It's on the flyers on the Community Remembrance Project Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I think it's correct, but it's in Brooker, so. And I'm not familiar with Brooker at all. So, do you have anything else to add, Kathleen, for the Community Remembrance Project?
I think there's another meeting next week, next Wednesday at 10 a.m.
Okay.
But that's all I can think of right now.
Okay. History of former county commissioners.
Okay.
That would be Melanie.
Right. So Kathleen gave me a list of some people, and she had, I guess she wrote to be determined. So Shelley Downs is still alive and lives in Gulf. Yeah, and he's 83 and lives in Gulf Hammock. Sonny Lee Walter Lee died in 2007. Jane Walker died in 2006. Levita Brown is alive and well. I see her at meetings sometimes, but it looks like she's moved out to the village, and I have her address. Robert Summers died in 2019. Dave Newport is the environmental director of student affairs at the University of Colorado in Boulder. And I do have an email for him that I could write to. He's very active, and the University of Colorado's, he's been in that position since 2005. So those were the fill in the blank people that Kathleen had, but I would like to know how much farther back should we go? I mean, I don't have the dates of people's terms. Is there a way we can get the group of county commissioners and their terms so I can go farther back?
Well, that was the list that Commissioner Hutchinson had originally provided.
Okay.
Maybe the start date in the 1950s was partly because going further back, there's
They're all dead.
high probability that you couldn't
They're dead.
meet them.
Well, several of these people are dead that I discovered, but someone could write for them. I don't know. That would be a lot of work, really, but. Okay, so we do have the living people now at this point. And like you say, it probably is true that the rest of the people are dead. But
Melanie?
Yeah.
Would that be in the county commission minutes that are online? Jim would know that. Jim
Is Jim
Powell?
Powell?
Yes, he's here.
I don't see him.
He's there.
Good.
But they're all there, but you'd have to pick it out. I mean, there's no list. You just have to pick it out.
That's what I would like to know. Right now we see all their pictures on their website. This is our city and county commission, so we know who they are. But it seems like there should be a list. I don't know. It just seems like a public record where the county commission that is sitting as of November, 1996, there should be something, but I don't know how to find that.
Well, wouldn't
We
there
have
be
parts
swearing in? But wouldn't they be sworn in? They'd be sworn in, so wouldn't that be in the minutes?
Yeah, well, should be. But
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that in any minute. Not the older ones.
Yeah.
Do they have pictures of them in the commission like at least in the hallway in the commission chambers?
I don't know if they have all of them, maybe the
Only
chair.
reason.
They have the chair. right? And just like Jim says, more recent. So, but it seems like there should be a list that somebody, it just seems like there would be, this is the board in this year and this is the board. I don't know. I don't know, but
Maybe,
wouldn't the clerk of the court have that?
It would be in the minutes, but like I said, you'd have to pick it out.
But if I don't know their name, I can't look for them. That's the problem.
Well, we do have the commission members for different years on that chart that we started this research with. So we could go back at least to that start date. I think we could get started with the research if you want to mail the people that
On the list now.
contact numbers for, and then at least try to fill in the blanks for those years for the people that are now deceased. Finding some, simple information about them.
Yeah, at least record their name and what year they were serving. Some of these people served quite a while. I want to say Sonny Lee, I remember when he came up to me at the community plaza and asked me to vote for him and his wife, and now they're both dead. He died in 2007, and I'm not sure if she died before or after him. Jane Walker died in 2006. Robert Summers just died in 2019. And Levita, she's still good. She attends meetings. So I'll write to her. Well, I'll write to, we already approved a letter, didn't we?
I thought we did.
So the letter's ready to go. And I've got the address for Shelley Downs in Gulf Hammock, and I have Levita Brown's address now. And Dave Newport, I don't have his personal home address, but I can send him an email at the University of Colorado Boulder.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
That's what I'm
Michelle
saying.
raised her hand. Michelle raised her hand.
Sorry, I don't know if it's of any help, but the Florida Association of Counties, they are an excellent resource in terms of the county commissioners. Have you reached out to them or spoken with them?
Well,
in terms of having-
I'm looking for county commissioners from the past.
Yeah, but they are, so I work for the Florida Association of Court Clerks, and
Oh.
we work with the Florida Association of Counties on a lot of county projects. And they work primarily with the Board of County Commissioners. We work with the clerks. So the FAC was the first one I would think to in terms of knowing the history of the county commissioners. So they might already have that list created, and or they could point us to where it could be. So that might be if you wanted a historical record that went back further, that would be the place I would start looking.
Okay, well,
Yes.
then let Kathleen know how to
You can
contact.
still go through the commissioner minutes. I mean, they're all there. You can pick a year and see who was in that year, or the next year, see who was in that year. I mean, it
Yeah,
should
they
be-
might have already compiled that for some other purpose. I know the clerks did a couple historical projects on their own histories, so I'm wondering if FAC may have done something similar, so.
Michelle, what Jim Powell is speaking of, I don't know if you're aware that he has a project to transcribe the historic minutes. Could you explain a little for the new members, Jim, that might not know all the specifics?
Jim.
They're all transcribed. Everything that was written is transcribed. Everything that was typed is OCR'd. It's all every word searchable. And it's all online by book. I mean, you can go page by page in the book.
What word would I search for?
Well, if you wanted to search for a word, search for, I don't know, meeting.
Meeting?
Yeah,
would be-
and you get.
That would bring in too many.
And bring in a lot, but you can search by book.
If the.
Because in these older ones, they didn't have a place where, they were sworn in, whatever. They just started with a meeting.
Mhm.
Aaron did a lot of those, and that's the way they were. They just showed up at a meeting and they were then county commissioners. Sometimes they would say something about it, sometimes they wouldn't.
Well, give it a try, Melanie.
But to give it a try to look through all the minutes to just to look for what though? I don't know what names I'm looking for because I don't know who I'm looking for.
Well,
Well, like you
usually
said,
what, in January, you get new commissioners?
Right.
So go looking for January. Look in the first meeting in January, see what you got.
She was present.
Mhm.
That should tell you every year exactly who was
Well, let's
commissioner.
start with this Florida Association of County Commissioners, see if they have lists already or whatever it was that she
I
was.
can't imagine that they would as far back as we go and as many commissioners as it be, but
Let's
anything.
just start with that. That's a lot easier.
All right, that sounds like a plan, Melanie.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to look every January for 100 years.
Well, you
More.
don't have to go that far back, right?
I probably wouldn't. Once they start all coming up as deceased, then there's no
Yeah.
point. Keep going. So
Well,
maybe we can-
there's some of them, that was kind of famous that you probably should
that I
put a
should
little
have,
something about,
Right. right. If I can find out, the point was to just talk about what their interests were, who they were and what they accomplished. That's a
Mhm.
lot of work.
And you
really.
got the bunch during Reconstruction.
Right.
I mean, Valentine and George Washington and several others that were,
That we want to
there,
recognize.
the one that was trapped at the family cemeteries in Jonesville.
Well, actually Josiah Walls was on the county commission, so we would discuss him too.
Right. But you go after the more contemporary ones first,
Right.
where some of them are still living.
And grab the
let's-
living ones before they
And what?
aren't.
Do what?
Grab the living ones before they
yeah.
aren't.
That's true. That's true. Of the list that Kathleen gave me, only 2 are living. So we do want to contact them. Or 3.
The ones I couldn't find property records, current property records that I felt like were
Right.
to this project.
Right. Well, Gulf Hammock, Shelley Downs lives in Gulf Hammock. That's why you couldn't find him. Levita Brown may be living in an apartment at the village. That's probably why you couldn't find her. And Dave Newport lives in Colorado. That's why you couldn't find him. And the others
Okay.
are in the obituaries.
Was Kate Barnes a county commissioner?
Yes, she was.
Okay, so you have her. I just saw her. We
Oh,
saw
really?
her. Remember, she was there Sunday. So, all right, thank you. Next thing is the history readings. Nicole, you were still working. Let's see, Nicole's here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to expand my little pictures. Here we go. Do you have an update, Nicole?
No, we talked last time around about me doing November,
Right.
and
Gotcha.
I got with Kathleen and confirmed the date and time. I think Melanie's doing the next one,
Right.
so she's probably who you need to talk to for this go round.
Okay, gotcha. Melanie, yeah, we saw your marker text. Very
Okay.
good.
Okay, good.
Yes,
When did
we
you
all
see
got-
that? Today?
today, yeah.
Okay. So the marker is done. My 3-minute history, I'm working on it. I want to say everything. I want to put in everything I didn't put on the marker. So I'm going on and on and on. And it's just not at my standard of excellence that it usually is for the 3-minute. But I know I have to have it by next month because then I'm going to
You're on.
present it. I'm going to what?
Yeah.
I'm going to
You're
present
on.
it. I'm on. And then I have to, I want to invite all the county commissioners to the November unveiling. So it's definitely got to be done by October, but I'm wading through it and it's great so far. And then it's more work than you think for 3 minutes, especially
Mhm.
documenting you have to document everything. And I'm putting way more information on that in the text than I did on the marker. So
Do you think you could send maybe a final to Kathleen to disseminate to us?
I can do that before we meet next October, at our next meeting.
Yeah,
You can get it in advance, in other words, is what you're asking.
yes. Now, when are you speaking? Are you speaking before or after our meeting?
I will be, the marker unveiling ceremony is November 14th.
But when are you speaking to the county commission in
Well,
October?
we haven't got on the agenda yet.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Kathleen will tell me. It's going to be
Oh.
before November 14th because I want to verbally invite them, but of course I'll give them invitations. In fact, I'll give everybody here an invitation. I want to meet in person.
Our next meeting is October 11th.
Okay,
So I think we could possibly put this on the BOCC agenda for October 26th,
okay,
or if not, their meeting would be November 9th, which would still be ahead of your
right.
dedication.
Okay, sounds good.
And
Sounds-
November 9th is the day that I have, Kathleen. So if we need to change that, let me know.
We could
November
do-
9th.
Well, yours is going to be a proclamation, Nicole, is that right? You submitted a proclamation?
Yeah,
reading?
but I was doing the reading in November. So I think it was a twofold sort of thing.
Oh, so you want to have the proclamation and the reading at the same meeting?
Yeah, I would, unless like there's a better November one. Or we could space it out.
Well, hopefully we can have Melanie's October 26th, which would give people a little advance notice of the November 14th event.
Right. I think the 26th is the best time for me to do it.
Okay,
I'll do that. I'll put down 3-minute reading for that day.
okay.
That sounds good.
And what time does it start? No longer at 9 in the morning, right?
The meetings now begin at 11:30 a.m.
I'm all about that. Yeah, that's great. Okay,
Okay,
so we'll
great.
have it-
Thank,
I'm putting it down as 11:30 a.m. October 26th
okay,
for my presentation.
okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you. State historic markers. I guess we were approached about a potential marker on the UF campus. And basically, UF has a committee. They have a marker program, or at least they did have a marker program. Ashley was on that committee. I was on it for a short period of time. So we directed the person to approach UF. And I don't recall the name of the committee, Ashley. Was it the UF Historical Committee or something like that? You were on it for a long time.
Yes, I was on it for a long time. It's the University of Florida Historical Advisory Group. And the person to contact would be Carl Van Ness. And I think Carl is still there. And he's apparently the UF historian. And I think anything that has to do with a marker or historical event or anything else, Carl ought to be informed. And he would have, I'm no longer on that committee. I was still on the council for a few years, even after I retired. But I'm not sure how active they've been. I hope they're still active because they did put up a lot of really nice historical markers, not just on the UF campus, but also in some of the research sites in the state of Florida that are considered University of Florida. So Carl Van Ness is probably the best bet.
Okay, thank you. I see that the St. Peter marker made it to the agenda, the September agenda. So that's good news.
Well, thank you. And I wanted to mention that I also found regarding the UF historical marker group, there's somebody by the name of Joe Kays that is shown on their website now, on the UF website. So I sent that information to Mr. Bakari McClendon. I thought they would be on this meeting, but you know, it could be that the schedule didn't work, but we did let them know that whether on campus or at the UF Center for African American Studies, those are your properties. Pardon me, my dog has finished its chew and it's vocalizing. So I'll mention Carl Van Ness to them.
Kathleen, it's probably a good idea also to go through Joe Hayes. I didn't know that Joe was still there, but Joe was the person that came up with the idea for the UF marker program because he's a graduate of Penn State University and they have a rather active historical marker program on the campus up at Penn State. And Joe Hayes has been the head of communications for the Office of Research for a number of years. And I'm glad to see he's still there. So if you send anything to Carl, also copy Joe on it. I'm sure by that way it'll get to the right people.
Thank you. All right. Historic cemeteries. The task force on abandoned African American cemeteries met again, this time in Tampa. They met on September 2nd. And Kathleen, there is a link to the meeting, the recording of the meeting on the Crypt Alliance group. So if you could share that link with everybody, that would be wonderful. It was a pretty long meeting. It's at least 2 hours. I was listening to it today. It's interesting discussion that came up about the possibility, because there's 2 lawmakers that sit on that committee, a senator and a representative, the idea of using eminent domain to get ownership of these cemeteries was an interesting idea. They were batting around a little bit this time. But Jeff Moats, who's the regional director of FPAN, I think for the Central and West Central regions, he talked about FPAN working with various groups around the state. There were 4 that he mentioned, and ours was the Alachua County Historical Commission was at the top of the list. So we're getting some recognition there in terms of our project to get all of these cemeteries on the Florida Master Site File. In fact, Nigel Rudolph and I will be going to another one that was kind of lost. So in the weeks ahead, we'll be documenting at least one more. The next thing is the, just bringing this up every month, the Board of County Commission motion on the Florida Indians Historic Marker. And that's something that Nicole's been working on. And she will certainly, she's got a lot of information to go out there at some point. And we're not going to press her too hard because we know she's teaching. So also at the last meeting, we had EPD representatives showing us a PowerPoint about the Lake Santa Fe, Black Lake Historic Agricultural Sheds. So Kathleen, would you like to kick off this discussion, please?
Sure. I sent the information that they presented last month, and earlier today I sent a few photographs.
Kathleen, yeah, there you go.
Did you hear what I said at the start? They did go out this past Saturday with representatives from UF Historic Preservation. Dr. Cleary Larkin is the interim director of the program now. She was there, as well as someone that was operating the laser drone camera technology. They did the same kind of 3D imaging of that structure that Professor Hilton had used for the Archer Bethlehem Methodist Cemetery. Ron Hasse was also present. Ron is a professor emeritus of architecture and wrote a book on cracker architecture. He's an expert in vernacular design. And Kevin Ratkus has gotten his agreement to help with the project. So EPD is willing to provide a site tour to the Historic Commission. As many of you know, the long-term members know that in the past, the county attorney has been very concerned about off-site meetings that are not open to the public. But I think in this circumstance, since EPD has invited this group, I think what we should plan is that whomever wishes to go can go on the date decided. You should not ask questions there. You should probably just listen to whatever information EPD shares. And then at the next meeting, formalize questions to discuss in a public meeting. I think because oftentimes, people with historic interests are at the same lecture, it could almost be considered a lecture if you're receiving information but not discussing at length any ideas for the project. And Kevin has said that if people that do research wish to be videotaped, that he's working with County Communications Director Mark Sexton and a UF intern, and they want to make a film about the project. Gwen called me earlier. I thought she would be on this meeting, but she said that only the October 16th date would work for her. She's not available on October the 9th. How many people could participate that are interested could participate on October the 16th? If you could just raise your hand.
That's a Saturday.
Saturday, I believe it would be 9 a.m.
I'm not a fan now.
Well, I think that's the schedule that EPD has suggested, Melanie, but you're not required to go.
Okay.
I'm sure that there'll be photographs. I saw Michelle, Mike, Hill, Nicole,
Could come.
Melanie. Okay.
We'd be there on time.
So October 16th. But Mike says the 9th is better. Can you attend on the 16th, Mike?
I mean, I might, but I'm going to be driving from Tampa. That's what the issue is. So this is going to be difficult.
You're going to be driving from Tampa on what day?
That day, I'm going to Tampa from the 15th to the 17th for a friend of mine's birthday. And so
Oh, you won't be, you can't come then. You can't come on the 16th.
probably not. So that's
Okay.
really upsetting.
Kathleen,
Okay.
so if we move it to the 9th, it's going to start at 9 and end when?
I wouldn't think it would last more than a few hours.
'Cause I have another thing that starts at 2 on the 9th.
Okay, and
Work Society.
Gwen has said she cannot be there on the 9th. I know I couldn't be there on the 9th, but EPD staff will be in charge.
What's the name of where is it on the agenda that we're discussing?
It's the Lake Santa Fe Black Lake Ag Sheds.
Okay.
Continuing business.
Yes, another possibility is to move it further out if those October dates don't work, It'll be
I would
cool.
if I would say, I would like it to be moved out just because the 16th is a big conflict in my schedule. But that's just me.
Where will it be held?
It will be held on the site of the Alachua County Forever Preservation Property. There's a place along the road that there's some parking, is what I understand.
They're doing this to accommodate our schedule? We get to choose the date?
Well, they offered to give a tour of the property.
Okay.
October 9th is UF homecoming. That's not my schedule conflict, but There
Yeah,
there will be a lot of traffic that day in general.
yeah.
If we move it until November, we could just ask if they have Saturdays available in November.
What
And
about
then-
the October 23rd?
Yeah.
I don't think that was available with Ryan Keenely is the person who would meet us at the site, I believe. And I think he said that was not available, but I can double check. So I can tell him that October 23rd or a November schedule, avoiding the weekend of the 13th and 14th might be possible. And again, avoiding probably the Thanksgiving weekend,
So that leaves the 20th.
the 20th or the 6th.
The 20th is really the only day I can come.
Okay,
The October 6th is Downtown Art Festival with Pleasant Street is usually at, but this year they had to eliminate a lot of nonprofits due to the building of the Hilton. But that's also the Duck Pond Neighborhood Multifamily Yard Sale, which I'm in charge of. And I have a wedding. I got too many things to do already on the 6th.
all right, well,
So the 20th November or October 23rd. And maybe the 30th, that is Micanopy Fall Festival.
okay, well, when we were discussing October 16th, how many people could attend on the 16th? A few, except Mike could not. And I know Mike has particular interest.
Yeah.
Well, let me see what EPD staff says. And Mike, if that date doesn't work, maybe they'll have another date with the UF group and you could be part of that since you are a UF student. I could check.
Yeah. Yeah, like whatever works for EPD, you know what I mean? Because I'd love to go out there.
Yeah. I don't expect you to drive back and forth to Tampa. That's a long trip and you should just
Do
enjoy
it.
your friend's birthday there. Okay, so we don't have a definite date set, but I'll check with EPD. And if any of the alternatives, October 23rd or November 20th might work. Of the other people that are interested to attend, do those alternatives, October 23rd and November 20th, work for you? Michelle, I know Nicola said any Saturday. Those
Same
would,
for me. And any Saturday is fine.
okay,
Thank you.
If it was any time other than October, I might be able to attend, but the entire month of October is, especially on the weekends, is out for me.
okay.
So
Well,
it needs to be now November 20th.
okay, well, I'm not sure the time frame they are working with, but hopefully that they can adjust and November 20th would work. One issue is we wouldn't have another meeting until January, but I'll check with Ryan. I had told them I didn't think they needed to attend this evening because all we needed to discuss was the schedule. And I'll check and keep everyone up to date with email as best I can. Sometimes the email gets away from me, frankly.
What's wrong with September 18th or 25th?
Well, we had not discussed September.
September 25th, the 18th is too soon. September 25th. Who's got a problem with September 25th? Anybody?
So September 25th could be a possibility. Okay,
Yeah, but that September 25th, Melanie, is a meeting of the Bethlehem
Oh,
ME Cemetery.
at the same time practically.
Yeah. Mhm.
okay, well,
It's always something.
busy people. It's hard to
Yeah.
coordinate lots of people's schedules. So we'll do the best we can according to EPD's schedule for the project. And I'm sure if you can't make it on this site visit, there will be another opportunity.
And Kathleen, aren't they they're looking for some of us to do research, correct?
That's right.
Uh-huh.
So
It's possible.
would- that those that are interested in doing the research, that they do get to go.
Okay, Mike has put in the chat that he has done some research.
Yeah. Done a little bit of poking around. Like I said, I have found some articles about that, but like what I want to find out is who was the owner of the property and like, you know, who was the grower. And that's going to be, I think that's going to be a very difficult task because, you know, you can't look in the property appraiser's office because I'm pretty sure this was before the property appraiser's office. So, but yeah, there's a lot of information out there about what was happening over there between Alto, Santa Fe, and Geneva. So I have it all transcribed on a Word document. And, you know, if you guys want to see it, I'll send it to Kathleen so you guys can all look at it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike. And also I can mention that Gwen, when she called this afternoon, she thought that Bobby Ruth Powell, a former member of this group, that she may have information as her family was part of that area for a while. I mean, her ancestors lived in that area. Melanie, are you still in contact with Bobby Ruth?
Not exactly. She's in an assisted living in Baton Rouge.
Oh, in Baton Rouge, my goodness.
Because her son is a professor at the
Mhm.
university there. We do playing Gator games. But anyhow, even her daughter, who lives in Bobby's house now, rarely talks to her because she doesn't have a cell phone. And she has to drive up to Baton Rouge to see her. I think she's talked to her twice. Bobby was put in there in February, and her brother's trying to get her daughter to sell the house now because they take all the money you have once you go into a nursing home or assisted living. They take all your assets, and they're trying to pay with just Bobby's Social Security and retirement, but they're coming up short every month, and so they feel like they've got to sell the house now. But last time I was there, I want to say that her books and papers were still there. They didn't move them to the assisted living, but I wouldn't know where to look in terms of what do you think she has? What did Gwen said she thinks Bobby has information on this?
Well, as I understand, I can't really speak for Gwen, but Gwen thought that because Bobby Ruth's family was from the area, maybe she would have some insights. I am acquainted with Bobby Ruth's cousin,
Right.
a member of Holy Trinity Episcopal, and I can
Okay.
ask her if she knows of any family records or any information.
Well, Bobby did have notebooks full of information. And the last time I was there, they were in the living room still. However, her daughter told me her brother was coming to visit that weekend. So I don't know what her brother took. I don't know what's going on. And I don't know exactly how we could find it. She did have a lot of volumes on her own family, but in terms of this, I don't think she would have much, if anything. And I would think her brother would take it because Lisa, once her daughter gets kicked out of the family home, we're going to have to move to an apartment, and she won't be able to take all those books and papers. Her brother, being a professor, he has his own home, and and Bobby's just like a few miles from him in the assisted living. And she does come and he brings her to his house every weekend. So if she wanted to look through her books and papers, but I don't know if she's able. I haven't talked to her.
Well,
Her cousin told me to talk to her, but it's hard because it's on the phone and I don't know what she remembers.
we can see what Mike comes up with his research.
Okay.
And then if anybody else, I guess if we knew what that family name was,
Yeah.
Bobby's, that would be useful in the deed records.
Well, I know the name.
But even if you're using
common
on the property appraiser site, oftentimes they have a link to a deed, but it's a more contemporary deed. But sometimes it gives a clue where to go back further.
Well, her
Sometimes.
family, her cousin and her went to go look at the family home, and I believe it's been demolished, the historic house on the site.
Okay.
I remembers visiting there, but her cousin will tell you that it's been demolished, and I keep thinking about the name. Oh God, it's a real common name. It's common.
Well, if you think of it, send it to Kathleen and she can disseminate it.
Mike, do you know anything about Clearwater? It's a name there. It's a name in Clearwater as well as Melrose.
It's not McMullen,
No,
Booth.
it's another one, McMullen. Actually, we do have a descendant of the McMullen family in the Women's Club, Sarah Reed. She's a McMullen in the Women's Club. Her mother died at like 99. And that's from the Clearwater area. But it's another real common name. Oh, well, I'll think of it later.
Think of it, put it in the chat if you think of it during the meeting.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I've contacted Historic Melrose. I'm gonna reach out to them, see if they have anything, and I might try to contact Waldo, but I can't find Waldo's contact name. Somebody knows out there for like Waldo's historical stuff, but
Yeah. There's also a book about the history of Melrose
oh,
that was written with Kevin McCarthy and
mhm.
hang on a sec.
Rosemary Tower. Rosemary
that's it.
Tower. I have a copy of that, and when this project started, I scanned pages related to the citrus history
There it
on
is.
the area, and I can share that. I sent that information to EPD. I
Yeah,
thought I
Rosemary
had
Tower.
shared it.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought I had shared that earlier, but I will send that. And I do have contact info for Linda Flacos, I think is still working with Historic Waldo. So I'll send you.
They're still sending me the newsletters from Historic Waldo. Once Penny died, somebody took it over. Is anyone else getting them? Karen, you're not getting them?
No.
Penny- She was on our commission up until her death, right before her death.
He's a teenager. I understand.
The guy that's sending it, oh yeah, you should know, because you're.
Because I got all over him for that bit about, Bellamy Station and all that stuff he put in that first one. And I was told him as a kid that I shouldn't have been so hungry.
Well, he's still sending them to me, the newsletters,
I'll get them.
since Penny died, but
But Linda had some other problem too, I think. So I don't know what she was doing.
She's better now. She's home now from the hospital.
And I don't think they're doing anything down there.
At the museum, you mean?
Yeah, they were going to open it up, but I don't think they are right now. I don't.
Okay. All right. Let's move on.
Yeah.
The announcements, Kathleen, staff report.
Well, I'm sure all of you know the outcome of last Thursday's Development Review Committee meeting regarding the proposal for the Dollar General.
Yep.
There was some discussion about the fact that there is the truck weight limit on Tuscaloosa Road and whether construction vehicles would be able to access the site. But it's unclear to me. Their attorney, he'll do anything that he can, I'm sure, to keep the project moving. So it was a disappointing outcome. This evening, the Micanopy Historic Preservation Trust was also meeting virtually. And Megan DeAndrea is the new president of that group. Jeffrey Forbes has stepped down. He's very committed to other organizations and still committed to the trust, but no one can get overextended, and everyone has to be able to manage their own work and life. So
It's going to be difficult for Megan because she doesn't live in Micanopy anymore. So she's got a long drive to get down there, but we'll see. She really wants it to continue though.
Well, as every historic organization knows, we need new members, young members that can learn the ropes and keep the spark alive. And so we'll do what we can to help. Yesterday's event with Keep Alachua County Beautiful was very successful, thanks mostly to the UF College of Dentistry students. They're required to do community service, so they were there in large numbers, and fortunately, walking along a busy highway, large numbers can mean better safety. So it was a good event, met all the requirements of the grant in terms of number of participants. And I do have 10 milkweed plants left, and I've offered them to Micanopy. I'll check with the Historical Museum, Gene Stream. If they cannot use them, I'll check with Marjorie.
Kathleen, she's traveling now and won't be back to Gainesville or Micanopy till the 16th.
Okay, well, it's not an urgent matter. Yeah. They're able to stay in their potting pots, but we do want to plant them as soon as possible so that they provide food. And if they can't use them at the museum, I'm hoping the Marjorie Kennan Rawlings Park might be able to, or Ashley, if there's an area in Evanston, ideally they could be planted somewhere along the byway because the grant was funded by the National Scenic Byways Foundation. So.
All right. What else do you have, Kathleen?
I don't know much about it. I haven't worked on it, but at this Wednesday's Planning Commission meeting, other staff will present the property rights element that is required by the Florida legislation, which from a planning viewpoint is rather disappointing. The erosion of planning law in Florida, this is just one more step. So I wish I could be more optimistic, but that's for now.
Okay. Will you be advertising the vacancy we now have?
Oh, excuse me. Yes. Thank you for mentioning that. It was advertised and Mike has applied to be the regular position. I have 2 other applications, and so I'll finalize that tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be on the late September or the early October meeting of the County Commission. And there may be another application as well in the system tomorrow. The other applicants are Chris Eastman, who lives in Cross Creek, and she studied historic preservation and is retired, and also Caitlin Hoff Mahoney from the Matheson.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. I see there's a link to new listings on the National Register and other Florida counties. That should be interesting. Windsor Zucchini Festival. That's always good.
It's a fun event. I just saw that information online. Hopefully with this surge, they'll still plan to have it. I think outdoor events are, more likely to continue.
Yeah, the years ago, the Kanappaha Presbyterian Church that was founded partly by the Hale family, we did a I'm a cemetery elder there. And we used to do an All Saints Day cemetery tour where we had some first person interpretation of people buried in there. And, but we have a lot of obituaries and pictures of lots of different people buried in the cemetery. The cemetery goes back to about 1859. So we decided to resurrect that this year on October 31st, the All Saints Day cemetery tour. And it's just going to be a free event with outdoors where people can come and just walk around. And if the virus is just still going crazy, then we may not have the first person and interpreters. We'll just put up the signs and the pictures in front of the graves. But we decided to bring that back this year.
And they used to have really good cookies too, right?
Yeah, we actually had cemetery cake and cookies.
Little gravestone cookies. Little
Gravestone cookies with
They're
names
yummy.
on them.
Yeah. Mhm,
You
love
could
them.
actually, yeah, so I'm not sure about that part of it, but it's Sunday, October 31st in the afternoon.
Actually, I went to it with Bobby Powell.
Oh, yeah, okay. So anyways, this year it'll be free and outdoors.
And it's the same day as the Micanopy Fall Harvest Festival.
Yeah, see, it's All Saints Day, which is
Right.
November 1st, so.
Right.
And also that used to be maybe still is the weekend of the Florida-Georgia game on the Saturday.
Exactly. That
So
was-
a lot to compete with, but
Right,
you know, cemeteries they're kind of a niche thing.
right.
Some people just love cemeteries, right,
Right.
Jim?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but it needs to be on the 31st. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Kathleen, if you can send that out
Um,
to us. Kathleen. Karen, send
I'll-
something. You can send something to Kathleen, then we can all know, get more information.
Yeah, I'll when I create the flyer,
Okay.
I'll make sure it all gets disseminated to you through Kathleen.
Sounds good.
Let's see, any other quick member announcements? We'll just ask. We didn't get anything in advance, but no? All righty then. We don't have any more business and we can't vote to adjourn. So I guess we'll see you all next time, October 11th. And that will go back to a in-person quorum.
That is a Columbus Day. That doesn't make any difference to the county, does it? We don't get mail or go to the bank. They're closed.
It is a federal holiday, Indigenous Peoples' Day, Columbus Day. I'm sure the National Park Service will observe Indigenous Peoples' Day, but it is not a county holiday.
Okay.
So county is open and we'll plan to meet.
Okay.
Hopefully no
Alright.
storms in the meanwhile. It's been a terrible storm season. And
Yeah.
keep safe.
Not so bad for us. Yeah, not so bad for us though.
Yeah, no, I hopefully
Like
not.
New Jersey, boy, they're terrible there. It's all not a good situation. Too many hurricanes now.
Okay, everybody, we'll see you next month. Take care. Be safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Be well, everyone. Thank you.